me. Fate is on my side. Feel the shock.
Wait, what the fuck? Why isn't this map complete?
Wretch. A mighty fall.
Hi, this is Ubaya here, and this is my build in maps, effectively. So, given that this is like, what, it's Tuesday? So, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So, day 3, end of day 3, start of day 4. This is pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much a pretty, yeah, the progression's like pretty smooth so far. Want to cover a bunch of stuff about the build, about how I've scaled it, and how the journey has been. So I haven't really been documenting it daily, mainly because I feel that a lot of it was... So the thing about POE1 was, like, I do daily updates because most of the time I actually understand what I'm doing, and I know what I'm doing, so it's pretty straightforward. I've got stuff to tell you or update you with, whereas this is POE2, and there are a lot of times I was just eating shit, okay? A lot of times in the acts I was eating shit because I didn't know how to solve problems, and I didn't know how the progressions would be like, because I don't know what resources are available, what is not available, and I wasn't doing what some of the early progressors were doing, which was to use skills that were overtuned, right? So because I didn't have access to that, I was basically just finding my way through with Monk, melee Monk, to make it even worse, and not only that, melee Chalupa Monk, alright? And yeah, you know, I had a tough time until I figured out some core mechanics of this build, and then figure out how to scale defenses. So the first things first is, with every build you make, damage is your priority, because if you don't have damage, everything is slow and everything takes too long to kill, and you can't do bosses, right? Because you can outskill the boss. Let's say if you do like 20k DPS, but you get one shot sometimes, it's better to do that than it is to have like 10k DPS and to get one shot like 5 times less, because you can just repeat the boss over and over again until you master it, right? You learn when is the attack windows, when are the windows where you have to dodge and all that. So getting damage is priority. And for a melee monk, there are 2 ways to go about it. One is cold and the other is lightning, but I've chosen lightning because I feel that lightning has much better endgame scaling. So for lightning, what I'm doing here is I'm running a falling thunder setup and a siphoning strike setup. So siphoning strike removes shock to build power charges, and falling thunder dumps your power charges and just does massive damage. If you can see, every time I have like 4 or 5 charges, or 3 to 5 charges, I can wipe the whole screen with one press of this button, right? And so gaining charges through Siphoning Strike is your priority. Now the thing is, getting charges through Siphoning Strike has a problem. Siphoning Strike cannot proc lightning, shock. It cannot apply shock. It can only use shock. And as a result of that, it's actually a little bit more complicated to find ways of applying shock. One of the ways is you can use Storm Wave. So in the very dangerous scenarios where you don't want to stand right in front of the boss or right in front of the mobs, let's say there are a lot of mobs that can slam, you want to use range, right? You want to apply shock through Storm Wave. So you have shock, you have conduction, you have causing current and lightning exposure. You're applying all this with Storm Wave, and then you use Siphoning Strike to go in, get your power charges, roll out, and then Falling Thunder. So it's a very hit and run playstyle if you have to. But most of the time, if you're dealing with trash mobs, it's pretty straightforward. You just roll in, Siphoning Strike, and Falling Thunder. So you'll be wondering, in that case, how do you apply shock? Because Siphoning Strike doesn't apply shock. Falling Thunder can apply shock, but you don't have power charges, so you can't use it. Or you can use it, but it's kind of meh, it doesn't do anything. The answer is, there is a way around applying shock, and that is to apply shock ground. So Wake of Destruction is one of the only ways of applying shock ground for Chayula Monk. You can apply shock and shock ground through Invoker, but that node requires you to shock in the first place. So so Way of Destruction, what you do is, if mobs are chasing you, they will be shocked. If you roll into them, they will be shocked. If you're fighting a boss and you run circles around them, they will be shocked. And when they are shocked, right, the shock is a constant amplification. So even if you remove the shock through, Siphoning Strike, because they're still standing on shock ground, a shock will be applied after a certain interval again, and then you can use Siphoning Strike to remove it again. So this gives you I won't say infinite, it gives you a pretty sizable amount of power charge generation. The downside is, to constantly apply this requires you to stand in front of the mobs. Now, in X, you may not have the tankiness to do this, so a lot of it's backtracking. You have to move backwards and let mobs walk into you and then get shocked. And then, with the mobs getting shocked, you can Siphoning Strike, get the power charges, and use Falling Thunder to spend the power charges. Alright, so that's your damage rotation. Falling Thunder, Siphoning Strike, and Storm Wave, as well as Shock Ground from Wake of Destruction. Now, there's another power charge spender, it's called Charge Staff. You don't really need this. It's an insane amount of damage boost, but on average, most of the time, you don't really need it at all. Like, you don't... One Falling Thunder clears the entire screen without you having to do this. But on occasion, when I'm running around and my power charges are going to drop off, I will just spend it on Charge Staff, because what else am I going to spend it on, yeah? And when it's like, for example, you're approaching a big boss or something, you can use Charge Staff to build up a minute duration worth of Charge Staff, which is enough for you to like do the boss. Hand of Chayula is for curse application only on very difficult scenarios. Voltaxing Mark is to more chance to shock, so you can apply shock with. So when you have Hand of Chayula, what happens is when you have Voltaxing Mark as well as Enfeeble, what's going to happen is when you're fighting a boss, you will, whenever you do the first Falling Thunder, it is very likely to shock, which means you can Siphoning Strike and then Falling Thunder, Siphoning Strike, Falling Thunder. You can just chain both of these skills, with Voltaxing Mark. Herald Thunder is for clear, because it gives you a way to, whenever you kill a shock target, you have extra charges, hit extra stuff around. It also does give you a buff, which gives you wait, actually no, it doesn't. I thought it gave you flatlining. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So Herald Thunder also does give you some damage in the form of this. You get 3 points here, and that's a total of 24 plus 50. That's 74% lightning damage. So that's really nice. Lingering Illusion is just there because I really no idea what I can put for 30 Spirit, but it does create a illusion for a short while that when destroyed gives you 1 power charge. Wind Dancer is very important for your evasion. If you can see here, I have about 69% chance to dodge and a 4,200 evasion rating. That helps with my Wind Dancer does help my evasion. It also, whenever it procs, it creates this aerial effect that pushes stuff back. It also can apply shock, so that's great as well. Ghost Dance is to recover ES, so every time I am hit, let's say I don't dodge something, I will consume a Ghost Shot to recover energy shield equals to 5% evasion, which is about, at the moment, 200 or something energy shield. So yeah, those are my skills, and that's how I do damage. Let's talk about survivability. This is a live ES build, so you're gonna use, you're gonna get quite a high amount of ES. You're also gonna have a decent amount of life. You don't really have ways to recover life except for leech, so physical attack damage, leech has life, which is very low by the way, and a bit unfortunate. The other thing as well is you have red flames from Chayula, right, and that helps you get your life back. You have a massive ES pool which you can recover with an Eternal Youth, so life flask recover energy shield instead. And yeah, all in general, ES nodes are very strong here on the tree, especially these ones. These ones give you like insane amount of ES for the point attribute, the points you spend. And since you're pathing the lightning anyway, you'll be here. These ones also are pretty good. And then you get the stun threshold nodes here to make sure you don't get stunned. So your stun is based off half of your ES, which is about 1k, 1.1k, which is like really nice. So let's talk, yeah, let's just cover the passive tree. You path through here, you want attack speed and skill speed, that gives you more quality of life. You path here, more skill speed, more action speed, chance to shock, extra damage as lightning. Evasion and energy serial nodes are very efficient. I could also path here and get these, but for now I haven't actually done that. You path up here, you get evasion energy shield as well as this one, spectral 1, maximum energy shield per 12 evasion rating. It's really strong. Eternal Youth, path down here, get lightning nodes. I'm about to get the last one here once I level. And then power charge plus 2 maximum power charges here is really nice too, because this is 4 points for 2 power charges. You path to here, you get all these staff nodes. Attack speed for staff is great, and then you also have quarter staff skills consume power charges, count as consuming an additional power charge. So if I have 5 power charges, it will count as 6 whenever I spend them, right? So this gives you a pseudo 1 more power charge and a pseudo plus 1 generation of power charge. So this is really strong node. This also gives you dexterity on this node and accuracy, which is really nice too. You path here, you get 100% evasion rating from equipped body armor to get even more evasion rating, and then the 74% lightning damage, yeah, or increased damage. You path down here for defenses, you go patient barrier for more energy shield, you go here for more intelligence, and then all the lightning nodes here, and then finally here more ES nodes as well as stun threshold ES nodes. So yeah, when it comes to Ascendancy, you could definitely run this on an Evoker. I think that is without a doubt. I'm going for the late game here. So in the late game, I really want all these Mana Leech, ES Leech nodes. I do feel that these are... Leech right now is kind of undertuned, and they kind of need to buff it. So the Leech formulas, they nerfed the Leech formulas from POE1 to POE2 because they thought POE1 Leech was too strong. The problem is in POE2 is you don't really do the millions of DPS that you would do in POE1. You kind of do like a fraction of that. So right now, most builds are doing like, even at the top end builds are doing like maybe 100k, 200k DPS, maybe at most 400k DPS or something, or 250k DPS or something, like Jung's build or something. Yeah, Jung's build does like 200k DPS, and the amount of DPS, the amount you are leeching of that is actually really low. So if you're in POE1 and you had 400k DPS, your leech would be like pretty low because you would never hit leech cap, right? And because leech is even more nerfed from POE1 to POE2, it kind of feels like it does nothing at the moment. So unfortunately, these don't really make any sense. I actually spec'd this for a while and unspec'd it and went back here. But the end goal is that eventually when I get Mana Leech instant as well as ES Leech applied, you get ES Leech from Mana Leech, what's going to happen is I'm going to stack a lot of Mana Leech bonuses to allow me to get up to 24%. So this is double. In fact, the duration of Flame of Chayula on you is doubled. So if I have, let's say, Flames of Chayula that gives me 7% mana, right? Wait. So 7% life, 7% mana. If I get 7% mana, if and I double, it's 14%. And if I get increased leech from tree, which is here, as well as here, as well as here. Altogether, I will have a pretty sizable amount of increased mana leech, which will mean that every time I walk over a blue flame, I will recover 30% of my mana, and that 30% of my mana that is recovered will also apply to ES. So imagine if I have about 1,200 to 2,000 mana. Every time I walk over one, I will get 300 ES, 300 mana, 600 ES, 600 mana. You know, that sort of thing. Yeah. So these are the defensive layers on my build. Evasion is your primary layer, as well as a huge hit pool. And then your recovery is solid because of Chayula and because of multiple options. You have Flasking, you have Chayula, you have Leech. Yep. And so probably when the map mods start to get very toxic, like for example, you have reduced flash generation, you can still rely on this to recover you. And then if you have, let's say, maybe Leech penalty, I'm not sure if you'll have that, then you can use Flask, right? Let's talk about gear and itemization because this is the last part of the build. This weapon with 3 exalts, right? And what you're looking for primarily is attack speed. The more attack speed you get, the better. You want level of melee skills as well, and increase elemental damage with attacks. Flat Fizz would be great too, but I do feel that they are kind of overvalued at the moment. I think you're better off going for something like this than Flat Fizz, because you're actually getting a lot of flatlining from the rest of your gear, and I'll show you later. And so increased elemental damage to attacks, attack speed, as well as melee skills, I think is the priority here. But if you can get more Fizz damage here, sure, by all means do get it. Or you can get like lightning damage, I think that would be great too. Then it comes to the helm. So this helm is pretty interesting because Aziri's Disdain basically gives you 30% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield. If I take this off, my ES goes from 2.2k to 1k. Okay, so that's the amount of difference this helm gives. It gives you like an insane amount because it scales off your life here. And the funny thing is, you can actually run this with CI. The problem is there's 35% of damage taken bypasses energy shield that goes to your life. If you run CI with this, it will kill you. However, if you go for MOM plus CI on this, it will go to your mana instead. It won't kill you, and you still get the bonuses. So in POE1, what happened was, when you ran something like this, your life will go to 1, and because you get 30% of maximum life as extra maximum energy shield, and your maximum life is now 1, you only get non-existent energy shield bonuses. But in here, the calculation is different. The maximum life as extra maximum energy shield comes before the conversion to 1. So for example, if this is 1, even if you go back to 1 life, I will still have 2.2k energy shield, right? So that's the thing I can also consider. If I ever path down here, let's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more points, I can actually get CI, and I can also split the damage between ES and mana. The reason why I'm not doing this at the moment is I don't feel the pressure from chaos damage at the moment, but eventually if I do feel that chaos is a problem and I have not enough suffixes for the rest of my gear, and chaos is just too hard to build around, then in that case I will just go Minor Vendor CI. I will also have to solve other problems when I go Minor Vendor CI. I probably need better flask, I probably need an instant flask belt, yeah, and then that would help me deal with my mana problems if I take damage to mana. So this is currently quite expensive. You would probably pay around 5 to 6 exalts for them. It will probably climb up. This is starting to get very popular. People are starting to look at it and realize this is strong. So I bought mine early, but if you want to buy yours, try to buy yours as early as possible. Chest armor, you want an evasion ES base, because even if you go for a pure evasion base, a spectral ward is not going to give you as much ES as if you went a hybrid. So I went for hybrid in that case. I found one that was 6 exalts with 45 spirit, which I think is really nice, and double res as well as some life. Reducing night duration is just good quality of life, but it's not what I'm targeting, so yeah. Amulet here, this was expensive. This is probably the most expensive item on me at the moment. This was 23 exalts, and it had spirit as well as melee weapon skill, melee skills. This adds to my damage because the higher levels your skills are, the more damage you do. Downside is if you don't have enough mana, max mana pool, the mana cost of your skills would be too much. So right now, Falling Thunder costs me 200 mana. Right? If you aren't able to sustain it, don't get max levels of skills. This is actually interesting. I bought this for 1 div, 1 exalt. Sorry, sorry. Was I saying divs? Okay, all these are all priced in exalts. But yeah, I bought this for 1 exalt and I slammed it twice and I got this. So this is really, really good. I don't think I'll ever replace this ring, to be honest. Even when I go CI, it's amazing because, you know, it has no life, right? This was about 4 I overpaid for this. I'll be honest. I overpaid for this because I didn't know the pricing at that time. But I paid, I think, about 5 or 6 exalts, which was too much. But yeah, now that I know that I can get a better one for cheaper, yeah, don't pay this amount for something like this. But yeah, it helped me get my resistances up to a pretty decent amount. So if you look at my resistances, they're almost close to cap. They're not cap yet, but they're almost close to it. This was about 5 exalts. Has life mana, lightning damage, as well as leech with dex and core res. I wish I had more res on this. I also wish I had attack speed, but you know, at that point, these 2 items were bought when I didn't really know the market well, and it was like only, I think it was like day 2 or day 3, and the market was just about up. This was cheap. This was like 2 exalts. I do want to swap this out for one that gives me instant flask rather than flask charge gain a second. Though I do think the flask charge gain a second is like really nice in helping you have permanent uptime on your life and mana flask. But yeah. Wake of Destruction, this was 3 exalts. Someone already slabbed this. That's kind of why I bought it. It has double res, double socket, so it has fire and core res here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I dropped this. I looted this off the ground. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is about the gear and the build. I will keep pushing this. I probably will be able to push maps without much problems. The only things I need to be careful in maps is getting surrounded, obviously because I'm a melee class, and also dodging into like 5 mobs that have slams, because you can't evade them, right? And they just chew right through your life, and yes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoyed this video. See you guys around, and peace. I'm out. Bye.